Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pistaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Tiramane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Bhajane Nirvasesa Sunyavadi Pasachade Sitarane Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Lord Ramachandra is a very popular incarnation of Krishna. He appeared many thousands of years ago because there was a big disturbance in the world. Actually, the demigods were trying to figure out what to do. So they approached Lord Rama and he approached Lord Vishnu. And he assured them that he would take matters in his own hands. So he appeared as the son of Dasarath. And Dasarath was a very powerful king. So powerful that sometimes he would fight for the gods. And it's described that he was such a great warrior that on his chariot he was moving so fast that he would face 10 directions practically at the same time. Therefore he got the name Dasara. Das means 10. Rath means cart or chariot. So he was moving so fast, he was so powerful. So he got this name Dasarath. So he was a king, he had 3 queens, but there was a problem. No son. So he was in some anxiety. But then he got assurance from this great devotee, Sanat Kumar, that he would have sons. And the eldest of the sons was Ram, Lord Ramachandra, the son of Kaushalya. And then he had brothers, Bharat, Lakshman, Shatrughna. So Dasarath was extremely happy to have this son, many sons. So, as many of you know, the early pastimes of Krishna, there's so many wonderful pastimes, but for some reason there's no pastimes of Ram. Early pastimes. The earliest pastime we hear of Ram is, whose child is that? Yeah, he's maybe there's another place for that for the child. So, the earliest pastime of Lord Ram is when he was 16. He was practically a young man. So Vishwamitra, he came to Ayodhya because there was a problem. There were some demons that were harassing the sages. Horrible things they were doing. So Vishwamitra, he was actually very powerful. He could have solved the problem himself, but he was a brahmana, so he was tolerant. So he wanted the help of Ram. So he went to Ayodhya to get this help. So he went to the palace there of Dasarath, and Dasarath, he received him, of course, very nicely. And asked, if there's anything I can do for you, please let me know. Is there anything I can do for you? And he was very devotional, extremely devotional. He's a great devotee, Dasarath. So he said, yeah, there's just one thing. I want your son to come with me to kill some big demons. Now, when Dasarath heard this, it was just like taking his life. because he had so much affection for Ram. So he said, please, Vishwamitra, I can bring my army and we could kill these demons. It won't be an issue, no problem. So he said, no, I want your son Ram to come. Because Vishwamitra, he knew the greatness of Ram. But Dasaratha, he just thought he's his son. He's a 16-year-old boy. I mean, you can't bring a boy to kill these big demons. Please, I'm a powerful warrior. I have my army. We can do it. He didn't even want to hear that. So he said, listen, you've made a promise. You'll give me whatever I want. This is what I want. So Vasishtha Muni was there also, and he was also a great devotee, and he knew the power of Vishwamitra. So he said to Ram, don't worry about it. It won't be a problem, because even if the demons are so powerful that they come to the point of being able to kill Ram, Vishwamitra will stop them. So don't worry. Keep your promise and let Ram go. So Ram went, and he had a very dear brother that went with him wherever he went. Who knows what his name is? Lakshman. Lakshman. He is very close to Lord Rama, and he would practically go with him wherever Ram went. So they went together, and Lord Ramachandra, he's God, so he's very powerful. So he and Lakshman, they killed these demons, and the sages, and Vishwamitra were very happy with this. And then Vishwamitra said there's going to be a Swayamvara, a ceremony, from this king, Janak. He had a beautiful daughter, so let's go check it out. So they went, and the way that someone was able to win the hand of Sita was they had to string this bow, which is the bow of Lord Shiva. So it was strong bow. Other kings had also tried to string this bow, but they couldn't even lift it. They couldn't lift it. And there's one interesting pastime with Sita when she was very young. She was playing ball with her friends, and the ball went under this bow. So she just went over and picked it up by herself, one hand. Pretty strong little girl. So when Janak Maharaj saw that, he said, I'll only give the hand of Sita to the person who could string this bow. So he wanted to have the Lord as his son-in-law, so he knew that only the Supreme Lord can do this. So many kings had come and failed, and then Lord Ram came, and he strung it and actually broke it in half. And it was a pretty amazing incident. So then Janaka was very happy, Sita was so happy, and so they went back to Ayodhya, and happily married couple. They got married, very nice ceremony, and things are going on nicely. And then Dasaratha was getting in his elderly years, so he wanted to have Ram to be the Prince Regent. And he gave news to Ram and to others that he wanted this. So there was one person who didn't appreciate this. Now there's many lessons we could learn from the Ramayana, and this is one of the things that we could learn from the Ramayana, is that there's there's many wonderful examples of devotees of Lord Ramachandra, but there's also in the Ramayana many bad examples that we should also try to avoid. So there's one person, her name was Mantara, and she was the maidservant of Kaikeyi, who was one of the wives of Dasarath. And she was a favorite wife, actually, of Dasarath. So when she got word that Ram was going to become the Prince Regent, which means eventually the king, she became very upset, and she went to Kaikeyi, and she gave this news to Kaikeyi that Ram was going to be anointed as the Prince Regent. So Kaikeyi was actually a wonderful wife of Dasarath, and she loved Ram as much as she loved her own son, Bharat. She was a wonderful lady. But by the association of Mantara, who said to Kaikeyi that if Ram becomes the king, then you're just going to be on the side. You know, Kaushalya, she'll be the most prominent, you know, queen mother. So it's not good. There's something you can do about it. So she was speaking in such an intense and moving way that she convinced Kaikeyi, by this bad association of Mantara, she became evil. So association is very important. If we associate with saintly people, we become saintly. If we associate with envious people, we can also become envious. So she affected the heart of Kaikeyi, and she knew of two boons that Dasarath had to give her due to previous activities. So she was in her room, and Dasarath would go to her every evening. She was the favorite queen. So he would go to her every evening. And when he saw that she wasn't where she usually is, and one of the ladies said, "Oh, she's in her sulking room. She's sulking. She's upset about something." So she was really upset. She's laying on the floor and lamenting, and Dasa says, "Well, listen, what's wrong? I'll do anything for you. Please, you're my favorite queen. Please let me know what has harmed you. Please, I'll give you anything you want." She said, "Oh, anything? Okay, I want Ram to go to the forest for 14 years, and I want Bharat to be the Prince Regent." So when Dasarath heard this, it was like Vishwamitra taking Ram. He was devastated, and he was shocked that she had become so evil, because she was a sweet, nice lady, nice queen. All of a sudden, she's become so evil. But she said, "Listen, you have to keep your word of honor. You're the king. You have to keep your word of honor." So he was bound. He was bound to his word of honor. So he called Ram and he explained the situation, saying, "You have to go to the forest 14 years." It was so painful for Dasarath to say such a thing, because he had such love. Can't imagine the love that Dasarath had for Ram. And this is another thing that we can learn from the devotees of Lord Ram. There is so much devotion, unbelievable amount of devotion, so much devotion that Dasarath, when Ram left, he couldn't keep his life. He had to give up his life. He just couldn't live in separation from Ram, because there was so much love. So Ram, he's completely detached. Yeah, all right, I'll go to the forest 14 years, no problem. Completely detached. He's a king. He's always lived as, I mean, not a king, he's a prince. But he lived a princely life, wonderful princely life. His whole life. So now he's told to go to the forest. 14 years. No problem. All right. He just like it was just like an everyday thing or something. So then he had to go tell Sita and Kaushalya and Lakshman. All three of these also had so much devotion for Ram, just inconceivable amount of devotion. He first went to Kaushalya, and Kaushalya said, if you leave, I'm going to fast to death because I can't live without you. So much love for Ram. But eventually, he convinced her to accept this arrangement. So, very painfully, she accepted because he wouldn't go unless she gave permission for him to go. So after much talking, he convinced her that this is the arrangement of fate. And I'll be back. I'll be back in 14 years, and everything will be wonderful. So then he went to Sita, and Sita just wouldn't accept that he's going to go to the forest for 14 years and she's going to stay. So it was very painful for her to hear this. So actually, even at one point she said, who am I married? A woman that's just, controlled by another woman? You're powerful Ram. Please don't speak in this way. So eventually she convinced Ram that she go with him to the forest. So he conceded, he accepted, all right, let's go. And Lakshman also, he convinced Ram that I should also go. I'll protect you. Sita's going, and I'll do all protection. Actually, it's described that Lakshman, he practically didn't sleep. He would protect them at night when they're resting, and he was given all protection. So much love Lakshman had for Ram. So they all left. Bharat was actually gone at the time. He was at his father-in-law's. So he came back and he wanted to see his father. He wanted to see Ram. So he went to Kaikeyi and I said, where's my father? Actually, he had passed away by that time. He had passed away out of separation. So she explained the whole thing that, that Ram, he's now in the forest and 14 years, and your father, he's passed away. And by the way, you're the Prince Regent. You're going to be the king. And he's like, what is this? What are you talking about? And she explained the whole thing, that I had this boon, and now you're going to be the king. I've sent him to the forest. And by the separation, he had so much affection for Ram that it was just too much, so he left this world. And Bharat just became, he was so disgusted with his mother that he said, I disown you. You're not my mother. You're not my mother. And he was so disturbed by her evil plan that he decided, I'm going to go and I'm going to bring back Ram from the forest, and I'm going to beg him from the core of my heart to please come and be the Prince Regent yourself. So actually not only himself, but thousands of people warriors and people in general, they went to bring Ram back. So they're going along, and Lakshman sees the chariot of Lakshman, of Bharat coming. So he's thinking, oh, he's gonna try to kill you, just to take you completely out of the picture, so you don't have to worry about you anymore. And Ram said, no, you don't know Bharat. It's okay. So Bharat went there, and he's trying to convince him, like anything, to return to Ayodhya. And he said, no, I have to keep the promise that I've made to my father. So he said, all right, then your shoes will be on the throne. And it's described that he worshipped the shoes of Ram. Every day he would go to the throne where these shoes were, and he would pay obeisances, and he would worship the shoes. He had so much love for Ram. So they're in the forest. Actually, Sita and Ram, they were very, very happy. They were very happy in the forest. Because in the city, there was, so much opulence and honor and everything. But in the forest, there were so many flowers, and it was wonderful. And they were staying with sages, so they were having actually a good time. So then there was one personality named Surpanaka who happened to come by and saw beautiful Ram, and she became attracted to him. And actually she's a Rakshashi. She was an evil woman, but she could manifest in different forms. So she manifested a beautiful form and went to Ram, pretty much proposed to him. You're such a handsome man, and I'm very beautiful, and we could be a good match. So no, I'm married. I have my wife. This young man here is much more attractive than me, and he's single. My brother Lakshman, this would be a better match for you. So she looked at him and said, yeah, he looks pretty good too, So she went to him, showing some affection for him. He said, no, you don't want me. I'm a servant. He's my master. You don't want to have a servant. He's the master. He's the one you want. So then she became a little disgusted, and she said, she's the problem. Sita is the problem. So she went after her, in her Rakshasi mood. And Ram said to Lakshman, stop her. And it's described, it's pretty heavy. He cut off her nose and ears. It's a pretty heavy thing to do. Yeah. So she went running back to Ravana, her brother. And he says, what has happened to you? Well, this has happened to me because these great warriors in the forest, Ramachandra, he killed, 40,000 warriors in the forest there. Very powerful. So she told Ravana, there's a lady there that is so beautiful, more beautiful than any of your wives or any of your maidservants. She's extremely beautiful, and she's made just for you. So she was inciting some lust in Ravana for Sita. So he wanted to do some kind of tricky way to get Sita. So he approached this one person named Maricha, who was he was a mystic. So he told Marichi, go there to this forest as a golden deer and attract Sita. Now this Maricha, he knew of the power of Lord Ramachandra. He was in battle with Lord Rama, and he, with a weapon of Lord Ramachandra, he knocked him, what was it, like 800 miles away, something like that. Just so Maricha didn't want to mess with Ram at all. And he told Ravana, you don't know who you're messing with. You don't want to deal with this Ram. He's gonna be the cause of your death. And Ravana was so powerful that the demigods feared him. And that's why Lord Rama appeared, because the demigods were so much in anxiety about this demon and his followers. So Ravana thought, he's just a human being. It's all right. He was benedicted that he would be, that practically no living entity can kill him, but he didn't even mention the human beings, because human beings, what's a human being? Yeah. So Maricha thought, well, because Ravana said, if you don't do what I'm telling you to do, I'm going to kill you. So then he thought, well, better I'm killed by Ram than Ravana. So he did it. So he disguised himself as this form of golden deer, and when Sita saw us, she was, oh, Ram, look, this is very beautiful. Can you catch this deer for me? You can have a pet deer. And Ram could see this is some trick going on here. So then the deer ran away, and Sita's pleading with him, please, catch the deer, catch the deer. So both Ram and Lakshman understood there's some trickery going on here. So Ram told Lakshman, you stay here, I'll get the deer. Okay, you protect Sita. So he's gone off, he's catching the deer, and finally he gets to the deer, and he shoots the deer, and it calls out. He calls out, Lakshman, Lakshman, help! So and he was impersonating so perfectly that it sounded just like Ram. So Sita tells Lakshman, go, Ram needs help, go help him. He said, no, he doesn't need any help. This is Ram, he doesn't need any help. It's trick, don't worry, it's okay. So she was bold. She said, oh, you just want to be alone with me now, huh? Finally you want to be alone with me. And this was very painful to hear, because Lakshman was so devoted to Sita, practically like Ram. And he was so devoted to her that he never saw her face. He would never only looked at her feet. Yeah. So devoted to Sita. So to hear this was extremely painful. So just on her strong desire, he went to help Ram. So then, when he got to where Ram is, he understood, yeah, we've been tricked. We've been tricked. So while he was there, Ravana came and took Sita. He took Sita. So when Lord Ram and Lakshman returned, they were devastated. Sita's gone. What to do? So he was, of course, you can imagine, Lord Ram was very disturbed, to say the least. So then they went on this big journey to bring back Sita. And in this endeavor to get Sita back, there was a group of monkeys who were actually demigods. And one of them, who was also extremely devoted, his name is Hanuman. So Hanuman was able to go to Lanka, he found out where Sita was. And he was singing. Sita Ram, Sita Ram Jaya Sita Ram. Sita Ram Jaya Sita Ram. Sita Ram Jaya Sita Ram. Sita Ram, Sita Ram. Sita Ram Jaya Sita Ram. Sita Ram Jaya Sita Ram. Sita Ram Jaya Sita. So she thought this is a trick. This is this Ravana come in disguise. But Hanuman had a ring that was given to him by Ram. And when she saw that ring, now my Ram has come. So Hanuman said, I can take you right now. You can go on my back. I can take you right now back to Ram. He said, no, I can't touch another male. I'll wait for Ram to come and take me. So she was very happy that Ram now knew where she was and he's going to come and take her back. Now one interesting thing happened. She didn't want to eat or drink anything there where they had her as a prisoner. So the demigods found out about this and they went to Lord Rama and said, Lord Rama, Sita has been captured by Ravana, the demon we're trying to destroy, but she's not going to eat anything or drink anything. That means she's going to die, and who knows how we're going to, how Rama's going to take that? Is he going to? So Lord Rama told Indra, take this sweet rice to her, and just by taking this sweet rice, she won't feel any hunger or any thirst the whole time she's there in the camp of Ravana. So Indra said, oh, okay. So, Lord Rama had some power like this. So Indra went there as a Brahmana, and he said, please, take this sweet rice, and if you take this, then you won't feel any hunger, any thirst, and you'll live happily here until Ram comes and takes you. And she said, how do I know you're not Ravana doing some trick again? And he said, I'm Indra. He said, oh, show me your form of Indra. So he showed his form of Indra, and she accepted. Okay, so she took this sweet rice. So she didn't take anything, she didn't drink anything, didn't eat anything the whole time she was there after taking that sweet rice. So then Hanuman wanted to find out about the strength of Ravana. So he went around, he was checking things out there at Lanka. And eventually he was caught. And Ravana said, actually what happened was that they wanted to kill him, but Vibhishan, he's actually the brother of Ravana, but he was also very devoted to Ram. So Vibhishan said, you can't kill him. He's a messenger. You can't kill him. So all right, we won't kill him, but monkeys are very fond of their tails. So let's put his tail on fire. So they put his tail on fire, and he could expand his form. So he went all around. He practically burned all of Lanka with his tail. Right? So then he went back and he told Ram, now we have found Sita, and now there's going to be a war. So one interesting thing is that as they were fighting, Ravana and his party were doing things that were illegal in war. So Vibhishan, he didn't like it. So he decided to go on the other side with some of his intimate followers, his cronies. So he went to Ram and said, I don't want to fight on my brother's side anymore. I want to be on your side. And many of his ministers thought, Ram, this is the brother of Ravana. We can't trust him. So this is going back and forth. Should we accept him? Should we not accept him? So Ram, just 2 minutes. One minute. So Ram said to Hanuman, Hanuman, you decide. You decide. So Hanuman said, I could just see by his face he's honest. And Lakshman said, if what I'm saying is not true, that I'll be loyal to Ram, then may I become a king in Kali Yuga. And as soon as he said that, everybody said, all right, he's telling the truth. Shri Ram ki Jai.